Hello everyone, I greet you in the name of God Almighty. My name is Apostle Silas, and today we have a very interesting video to react to. And then we'll be listening to Benjamin Netanyahu, and then he'll be telling us what he is going to do in Palestine or at the places that this war is currently happening in Palestine. So he'll be telling us what he's going to do after this very war. I believe that this is going to be a very interesting one. So without any further ado, let's get down to this video and check this out.
After a major military operations in Gaza is over, Benny Gantz wants a plan, or he says he's going to leave your government. Your defense minister, Yoav Gallant, says you don't have a plan. He's basically accusing you of trying to lay the groundwork for an occupation, either civilian or military, in Gaza in the future. Are you denying that the plan is for an occupation of Gaza, or are you taking it off the table?
No, I have a very clear plan. I think the first thing, the day after Hamas, Jake, is the day after Hamas. We have to get rid of Hamas, otherwise there's no future for Gaza, no future for peace, and it'll be a tremendous victory for not only for Hamas, but for the Iran terror axis that backs it and organizes Hezbollah, the Houthis, and all these other sundry terrorist organizations. So I think we have to defeat Hamas, and we will defeat Hamas. Rafah is the last stronghold of Hamas terrorist battalions. We'll defeat them. That ends the intense part of the fighting. But once Hamas is defeated, what we have to do is have sustained demilitarization of Gaza. And yes, on this, I think the only force that can prevent the resurgence of terrorism for the foreseeable future is Israel. At the same time, I want a civilian administration that is run by Gazans who are neither Hamas nor committed to our destruction.
So you're taking it off the table.
The third thing that we need to do is, no, I'm not. I'm putting it on the table, on the contrary. No, that's not
I'm saying you're taking off an Israeli occupation of Gaza. You're taking off the table an Israeli occupation.
If you mean resettling Gaza, yeah, it was never in the cards, and I said so openly, and some of my constituents are not happy about it, but that's my position. The third thing that I would do is have a reconstruction of Gaza, if possible, done by the moderate Arab states and the international community. That's demilitarization, civilian administration by local Gazans who are not committed to Israel's destruction, and responsible reconstruction. That, I think, is a realistic plan, and I've said so. Look, if some people are not happy with it, maybe they want to put in the Palestinian Authority that still teaches its children to seek the destruction of Israel, pays terrorists. The more Jews they kill, the more they pay. Supports terrorism. That's not my position. I want a different future for Israelis and Palestinians alike. I think it'll affect the future of peace in the Middle East, too.
Two more questions for you, sir, because I know your time is limited. Three people familiar with the ceasefire discussions that fell through earlier this month tell our reporter, Alex Marquardt, that Egyptian intelligence quietly changed the terms that Israel had already agreed to in order to get Hamas on board. Does this raise concerns for you about Egypt being involved moving forward?
Look, I think we have a goal, which is not only to defeat Hamas, but also to release the hostages. My government has been able to secure the release of 124 hostages so far, and we're committed to get the rest. Hamas, unfortunately, has been hunkering down on a demand that is simple. They say, well, we can release the rest of the hostages, maybe. But in order to do that, you have to get out of Gaza, end the war, and allow us basically to regroup and reconquer Gaza. And they vowed to commit the October 7th massacre, this horror of beheadings and raping of women, beheading women after they rape them, the burning of babies, the slaughter of the innocent, the taking of hostages. We'll do that again and again and again. So that's something I won't agree to. And I hope Egypt understands that we can't agree to something like that. That's not something that we can countenance, and neither can the people of Israel. By the way, the overwhelming majority of Israelis support this policy. And I can tell you that the other day, by the way, yesterday, we had a resolution in the Knesset where 106 out of 120 Knesset members supported a resolution that says you cannot accept the ICC statement. You cannot accept it. We'll reject it. It's a farce, and we have to stand up to it. And I can tell you, I don't remember that Israelis, I don't remember the Knesset agreeing, 106 Knesset members out of 120 agreeing on anything.
But Mr. Prime Minister, you say that the majority of the American people are with you on this plan, but a poll from the Israel Democracy Institute from this month showed a majority of Israelis, 56%, say getting the hostages back home should be a higher priority than military action in Rafah. So don't you just fundamentally disagree with the majority of the Israeli people?
Well, I've seen other numbers, but I take a different thing. I don't say this is more important than that is more important. I say both of them are important. And in fact, the military action that we're taking against Hamas is, in fact, the way to get these hostages, because without military pressure, basically without, squeezing them, Hamas is not going to give up anything. That's the reason they gave up the first half of the hostages, and that's the reason they'll give up the second half. So I see them as complementary and not contradictory goals, and I intend to fulfill both of them.
Before you go, sir, we should note, well, we appreciate your talking to us. According to the independent Israeli media monitor, the Seventh Eye, you've done about 24 interviews since October 7th, but all of them in English, and all the outlets outside Israel. I don't want to begrudge that. I appreciate you doing an interview with us, but why are you not speaking with Israeli journalists the way you are with me?
That's the tendentious reporting of a lot of the Israeli media. So I can tell you what they're not telling you is I've done, I don't know if it's 24 or 20 or 15 press conferences with Israeli media. They can ask anything they want, and they do. And I just met Israeli reporters the other day in Rafah, in fact, 3 days ago, and they asked me all the questions they want. So that's simply not true. I speak to them, and I speak to you, and I welcome the opportunity to tell the truth and dispel the lies in both mediums.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Wow, that's a very interesting one. Of course, listening to Netanyahu, of course, giving us some of the plans he has in Gaza. That's immediately after the war. But then when you look at some of the things he is pointed out, you realize that this war is something that is going to take a lot of years before some of these things will stop, because concerning the answer he gave about occupation of Gaza, all he is saying that after the war, when Hamas is being defeated, and then also in Rafah, that after that they will not even hand over the place to the people of Palestine, because the government of the Palestine keep teaching their children to hate the Israeli. So which means that they are going to hand over to some of the Palestinians who does not support the killing of Jews. Those are the ones that he is going to hand over the government to. So the question is, when do you think that they can be able to have people who are not going to hate the Israeli? You see, some of those things are not possible, because some people get affected by some of these things. Sometimes, probably some through Hamas and some through the Israelis. So you don't expect to have, some set of people who will be supporting, the Israeli, to the point that you would like to hand over, the government to them and not to the government of the Palestinians, since they are actually teaching their people to hate the Jews. So looking at in that very context shows that this war may not end now, or may not end the way some of us may be thinking. And then according to him, of course, if some of those hostages are not being returned, then therefore there won't be peace for anybody. So which means that we should be expecting more to happen as far as this war is concerned, because as a matter of fact, for them to go to Rafah and then able to defeat the battalion, which happens to be one of the thing that Israel are focusing on, they are actually focusing more on the war. And then therefore that's why I'm just asking myself that if maybe probably these are the focus, then what's the point of trying to send humanitarian aid to them? Because at the same time you are killing these people, at the second time you are still sending aid to them. So what's the point? Then instead of you to save some of this money that you send aid to them, or save the money that you are going to use in the rebuilding of Palestine, then why not you just stop the war, so that they can be able to stop some of those things, and then therefore focus more on how some of those hostages can be returned, and not necessarily about more of getting into the war and killing a lot of people. But then if you listen to Netanyahu, all he could say is that if they do not take more of the military action, the Hamas will not be ready to release the hostages. So it means that there is more to it, and then there are more to happen as far as this war is concerned. Nevertheless, that's not what, you understand, we pray that it should continue. It's our wish that some of these things, you understand, should just come to an end. And if, you understand, probably the Hamas actually, you understand, have the interest of the people of Palestine, you understand, in their hand, then I just feel that they should rather release the hostages so that Israel can now pull out. But if they release the hostages and then Israel, you understand, refuse, you understand, to pull out of Palestine, then therefore who will now understand that their main objective is actually based on the occupation. But if, you understand, probably they keep on holding the hostages and then therefore they are actually losing some of their territory, they are losing their people are dying daily, then what exactly, in a sense, are they doing? So keeping those Israeli hostages, I think that is not helping matters, but instead it will be better for the Hamas to release them so that therefore there will be peace, in a sense, for both the Hamas and then also for the people of Palestine. Because when if you look at some of these things, you realize that even though I feel the IDF may be saying that they are going after the Hamas battalion, but if you look at the body language of Netanyahu, then you realize that they are actually coming to take over the whole Palestine. That is how, you understand me, I understood it. Of course, this is debatable, and I know that some of you may not, understand, agree with me, but then therefore I would like to see your thought and opinion at the comment section, and may God bless you as you do so. So this is the end of my video. If you like my reaction, you should like, share, and subscribe. If you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section and I'm going to check it out. So you remain blessed, and I see you in my next video. Bye bye.